Hi, everybody. This is Tommy James, and you're listening to Icon Fetch with Tony Peters.
Welcome to Icon Fetch, the web's premier music interview show. Now, here's your host, Tony Peters.
Welcome back for another edition of Icon Fetch. I am Tony Peters. And our conversation continues with Ting Markulin, rhythm guitar player for the Human Beinz. They were out of Youngstown, Ohio, and had a massive hit in 1968 with Nobody But Me. But they were not able to follow up that success and essentially became known as a one-hit wonder. So what happened? That's where we pick up our conversation. How come they didn't have another hit? Well, what was it like to tour with the Beach Boys? And at one point, they were in the same room with a guy that would later become one of the most infamous criminals of the last 50 years. Eesh. Plus, they toured Japan to much acclaim. But right now, we pick up our conversation about their name.
One other thing I wanted to tell you about Capitol is that they misspelled our name on the contract.
Yeah, now what is that about? I mean, you guys, it looks like the Human Beinz or whatever, you know, and that was kind of a bone of contention with you guys, right?
Very much, yeah. I'm still looking for that missing G. I saw it on the contracts when we were going to sign them, and I said, hey, you know, it's Beinz, not Beinz. And they're going, well, okay, you know, just sign the contracts and we'll change that when we press the records. I said, okay. So when they sent us copies of the 45 before they released it. And I called them right away. I said, hey, the name's still wrong on the label. I said, you were supposed to change it. I said, change them. And the guy goes, look, we just pressed 50,000 of these things. We're not going to change them. He said, if the song doesn't go and it's not a hit, we'll change it on the next release. I said, okay. Well, they thought Beinz was cool because back then there were the Beinz.
Right.
They had the gatherings, and they thought it would be a play on words.
Right.
And we hated it because it just didn't, we were the Human Beinz.
Right. Right.
And that was what we liked.
Right. Right.
So yeah, we've always kind of had a sore spot on that one.
Sure. No, that's a crazy story that they misspelled your name. Oh man. All right. So all right. So Nobody But Me goes up the charts and it starts to come down. And a lot of times I've talked to people that say, boy, that's when the pressure hits. Because I mean, it's great to get a hit, but now you're expected to follow it up. So,
right.
How did you guys decide on the Turn On Your Love Light? That was an old Bobby Blue Bland song, right?
Turn on your light, and let it shine on me, let it shine on me. Turn on your light, and let it shine on me, let it shine on me.
Right. There again, we had a big fight about it. I spent most of my time not happy after things got rolling because I didn't like what they were picking, and they also wanted to make us more of a bubblegum band instead of a hard rock band. And we wanted to release a song called The Shaman. And they said no, that Turn On Your Love Light resembled Nobody But Me, so they wanted to keep it in that vein.
Right.
And I mean, at the time, I said, look, come on now, people aren't like that anymore. I said, look at the Beatles; they don't put two songs out that are even close to the same.
Right. Yeah.
And they're selling like crazy. I think people will accept us doing this. It was kind of going that way, anyways. Because that was kind of in the vein of like Sunshine of Your Love.
Sure. Yeah. Right.
And they really didn't want to hear it. They thought that song was a little too heavy for airplay.
Right. All right.
We went with Turn On Your Love Light, which proved not to be such a good idea.
Right. So that does not take off. I mean, it barely kind of cracked the top 100.
Right.
But what I think is kind of interesting, did you guys get a chance to do a third single off that album? I mean, there's a lot of, what I think is there's a lot of good songs on that album, and I'm kind of surprised at, I mean, you mentioned The Shaman, that's kind of a dark tune, but what was it, Dance On Through, I think is a great song. I'm kind of surprised that wasn't picked as a single.
Baby, dance on through. Laugh with all your heart. Yeah, something to do. Baby.
Well, that was another one too that we thought that was kind of catchy, but they didn't want to hear it.
But so, all right, so Turn On Your Love Light is not a hit.
No.
So now what? What, did you get a chance to put out a third single from that album? I mean, what, you start getting worried as a band, okay, well, what, we don't want to be a one-hit wonder. What are we going to do now, kind of thing?
Well, what happened was we did the album Nobody But Me in the fall of '67.
Okay.
Because the record was catching and Capitol was happy. They thought we were, getting to be an established band. And so they said, go in and do an album. And so, like I said, we were a bar band and all we did was covers. We didn't really, know how to write songs, but we went up there and Lex was really the mastermind behind our band, and he helped us put that album together. Well, then when they released Turn Your Love Light off of that album and it didn't do good, Lex came back and said they want another album. They want a second album with you guys.
Wow. Okay.
So, and they said they're going to pick a single off of the new album. Well, he wrote a song called The Face.
I knew a face that was carefree and bright.
And they released that, and it did absolutely zero. And the song we wanted to do off of that album was Every Time Woman.
I never dreamed of what a woman could do to me. Knock off your animal and let me be.
There again, they trumped us. They said this is the direction we want you to go in, and so it just it didn't work out. And then after we did The Face, Lex came back. We did a remake of This Little Girl of Mine by Ray Charles. This little girl of mine, she makes me happy when I'm sad. Well, we did a version of that, and when we did that in the studio, Lex took it with him and said that he was going to have horns and stuff put in it back in L.A. Took it, and we said, well, what about the flip side, the B side? He said, well, you guys do whatever you want and just send it to me. So we did another old Isley Brothers song, Hold On Baby. Well, it was actually like Twist and Shout Part 2. but I knew it was the same chords, but it was an album cut that they put on Twist and Shout, like filler.
Right. Okay.
But so what happens is Capitol releases This Little Girl of Mine and Hold On Baby in Japan. And we turn around and Hold On Baby's #1 in Japan.
Are you kidding me? Wow. #1 hit in Japan. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Wow.
And like I said, it was the same setup as Twist and Shout. In the middle you had the and screaming, and back into the verse, but it was a song that we did live again years ago, and it got really good response. So we did it. And, and Japan was like going nuts to get us over there.
Wow. Now, did you guys actually go over to Japan and play then?
Yes, we did. We went over there and toured in '69.
That had to be nuts. I mean, you're all the way around the other side of the world, and these people, they don't even really share the same language or anything, and then they're just that had to be crazy, I imagine.
Well, we got on a plane, and to fly over to Japan, and the plane was full, and we started people were afraid of us because we had long hair and everything,
Right.
So I started buying drinks for everybody on the plane, and everybody, loosened up, and we got to know everybody, and they're inviting us, hey, if you're ever down in New Orleans, stop in and see us and all this, and they're going, what are you guys doing over there? We said, well, we're going over to Japan, and they don't really know we're coming. We're going to kind of do, try to get popular there. And they're going, okay. So when the plane lands at the airport, it's like when the Beatles landed in New York. There are kids all over the roofs, all over the place. And when we taxied, they have the what do you call that comes out to the plane? The walkway that you walk straight in.
Right. Yeah.
Well, they hooked that up, and these police came on the plane, and they go, Human Beinz. And we're going, yeah. They go, you stay. Everybody else went out that ramp. They disconnected the ramp, and we're sitting there like, what is going on? They wheeled the steps over to the side of the jet, so we had to walk out and walk down the steps like the Beatles did.
Oh, my. Wow. And these people are screaming for you as you're coming?
Screaming. We're looking at each other like, what is going on? And when the people were leaving, they go, oh, nobody knows you're coming, huh?
Wow.
Huh. Yeah. So, they were throwing flowers, stuffed animals. I just can't tell you. And they had it cordoned off, and they had almost shoulder to shoulder guards walking us.
Wow.
Through the airport, so we could get the. They took us to the Tokyo Hilton, and we're looking at each other, going, we're like four idiots from Youngstown, Ohio. What's going on?
Oh man, that's crazy.
They had guards because kids were trying to get in the hotel. They had guards at every door on the main floor, guards at the elevators, guards at the stairs, and then they had guards at every one of our doors to our rooms in the hotel.
Wow.
And we could hear kids running down the hall screaming, and they were catching them and chasing them. There were crowds outside when we opened the window and we'd go out wave, and they'd be screaming. It was just ridiculous.
That's surreal. So needless to say, you didn't do any sightseeing in Japan, right?
It was just amazing.
Huh.
Yeah. They knew us wherever we went. If we walked down the street, they're driving by screaming, Human Beinz. It was like crazy.
Wow. That's great. So how long were you in Japan? How many shows did you play?
Oh, we were just there for about 10 days. We did a lot of TV shows and radio shows, and, we had translators. And
wow.
Yeah, but see, here's the thing. We broke up before we went.
Really?
Yeah, and
so you had to get back together and kind of play nice, is what you're saying?
Well, Dick Belly, the lead singer, decided that he didn't want to do it anymore with us. He was I don't know how to explain it. He just got really different the last year or so, and he said he wasn't going to go, and everything was already set. And I said, look, if we don't go, you're never going to be able to work enough in your life to pay back the money that they're going to sue us for. he said, all right, well then I'll go. He said, but when we get back from Japan, that's it. It's over.
Wow. And so even that kind of response that you guys got was still kind of bittersweet because you knew by the time you got back to the States that it was going to be over.
Well, we're over there, and I sat him down. I said, Dick, look, I said, we're so popular over here, it's unbelievable. I said, look, we'll go back to the States. We'll put a show together, a different thing, and we'll come back and we'll tour all over Japan and we'll be millionaires. And he said, no. I said, I don't want to do it with you guys anymore. He said,
wow.
So, I mean, he was bound and determined that he was leaving. So, yeah, when we got back to Cleveland and got off the jet, we all went different ways.
Yeah, I mean, fame and all that has a tendency to just that. I've heard a lot of, there's a lot of stories just like that where you guys were best friends, and then suddenly you get a taste of success and it just tears it all up, huh?
Right. Yeah. Well, I'm saying we had a saying, and I believe it to this day, and this is true of all bands. There's always one.
There's always one.
There's
right.
always one.
Oh,
that's
man.
going to throw a monkey wrench into the whole works.
Right.
Sometimes you can work through it and work it out. But most of the time,
there's always one.
There's one that is just, doesn't see anything the way the rest of you do.
Right.
Can't see, the future.
Right. Man. Well,
I'm just grateful that for the time that we did have. It was a wonderful experience.
Sure, absolutely. So, all right, so you flash forward, you guys break up. What do you do personally in 1969, 1970, now that you don't have a band anymore? What was your next step?
Well, I had a lot of bookings left, and so I put together a Human Beinz Part 2, I guess. But if it's not the original, it's never the same, so I mean, we've finished out the bookings that I had, and by this time, 1969, it was like the end of the summer. The song was finally wasn't really anybody interested in it anymore. So I quit playing basically in September of '69. I got a job as a truck driver, and I went from making, at the end there, we were still doing okay. I was probably making a couple $1,000s a week, and that river ran dry real quick. And then I got a job driving a truck for $3 an hour.
Oh man, wow! I mean,
yeah.
so when did you kind of realize that Nobody But Me was going to stick around? Like, it was like you noticed that people that were a lot younger or whatever people were rediscovering this song.
Well, the song died out basically through the '70s. The resurgence really started in the '80s, and what happened was some of these TV execs latched onto it for commercials, and so we started getting calls about, hey, we want to use this song to for one was California wine coolers, if you remember those.
Yeah, boy, that's a flashback, huh? They used it for that. Okay.
Yeah, that. I mean, I can't. That's got to be the most used rock song for commercials that I ever have heard. Because I mean, I started making more money off of commercials, and people using it for music in their ads in local towns and stuff like that, or the local establishments that wanted to use the song. That it was crazy. Like once it hit the '80s, it just started going, and then 2 years ago it was what's his name, Beckham.
Yeah.
the soccer guy.
Yeah.
He came out with a new underwear line, and he had the commercial on the Super Bowl. And there's our song playing at the Super Bowl.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, it was dead in the 70s. I mean, I was getting royalty checks every 6 months, and they were like $5.79.
Oh, man.
God, stuff like that.
That's not. Now, I mean, it's also been included in movies too, right? It was like on The Departed and Kill Bill, and I mean, it's been in a couple of those. That's got to help too, I would think.
Oh yeah. I mean, every little bit helps. But yeah, they used it in a cartoon show called Recess. School's Out. It was in that, and The Office. I don't know if you ever saw The Office.
Yeah, absolutely.
They used it to open one of the seasons, and they were, lip syncing to it.
Nice.
It was
nice.
It was hilarious. It was really good.
Nice.
But yeah, I mean, I'm sitting here waiting to see what they're going to use it on next.
Right. Well, that's good. I mean, it's one of those that just kind of, and once people discovered it, it's one that then kind of continues to get used. Now, you guys got honored at the Flash Forward. Not too long ago, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame ended up doing a special exhibit on all these bands that kind of came from Ohio kind of thing, and you were involved in that, right?
Yeah, the exhibit's called Hang On Sloopy. And there was a lot of talent in Ohio. I mean, and I knew a lot of people. Dick Belly was going to quit right after, in the summer of '68. We just got off tour with the Beach Boys. And he was going to quit then. So a friend of mine had a band, and we tried to get them signed on Capitol. Capitol turned it down. So he was in the dumps kind of because they thought they were going to get a recording contract. And the band was the James Gang.
Oh, wow.
And my friend was Joe Walsh.
Wow.
So I asked him, I said, well, would you be interested in playing in the Human Beinz? And so he said, let's give it a shot. I said, so we jammed in my mother's garage down in Youngstown on the west side. Yeah, he came over, but he was just way, way, way ahead of us,
You said you toured with the Beach Boys. Do you have any kind of story about any of them? Did you get a chance to hang out with them at all?
Yeah, in fact, we hung out with Dennis, the drummer.
Yeah, right.
What happened was, he got lost in Chicago, and we went driving around. We had a Winnebago motorhome that we traveled in, and we went around. We're driving this motorhome in downtown Chicago, and we found him, and took him back to the concert hall. He definitely did a lot of drugs.
Oh yeah,
and Well, anyhow, we got to be friends, and during the tour and everything. So when we got done, our last concert was in San Diego, and he said that, come on back up and stay with me for a couple of weeks. So the drummer and I, Mike, and I said, okay, yeah, we'll come up. So we went up there, and he was staying in Will Rogers' log cabin in Will Rogers State Park. And so, we showed up there, and we went in, and of course, he had a big bowl of pills on the table, and next to it was a big bowl of weed. And so, we're sitting there BSing with him, and this strange people walk in, and so we start talking to him, and this one guy was giving me the creeps because every time I'd say something about somebody, he would say they're pigs and they ought to be killed. And so I told Dennis, I said, hey, you know what? I forgot. We've got to go over to our producer's house, Lex. And I said, we'll go over there and we'll be back in a little bit. He said, okay, hurry back. I said, okay. Never went back, okay, because these people made me too nervous. About, I don't know, it was 9 months later or so, when Sharon Tate got killed. and then they caught the people, and then I see his picture in the newspaper. I just about passed out.
Wow, that's right, because, Charles Manson was hanging out with Dennis Wilson. Oh,
Yes.
man.
Yes.
You're in the same room with that guy. Ouch.
Yes. I had a feeling, I'm serious, I had a feeling that if I went to sleep there, that I would wake up with a knife in my head.
Phew, man.
I had never had that creepy feeling like that in my whole life. That guy, it was just such a bad vibe. I just had to get out of there.
You saw it coming, huh? Man.
That's the only time in my life I did something right.
Oh, that's wow. Ting, that's a great story. That's a great story. Now, I mean, you've kind of gotten a new version of the Human Beinz that have played some shows here and there, right?
Yeah, I keep trying. I don't want to break away from the business. I guess, I don't know how to explain it. I mean, I keep saying, no, I don't need to do it anymore or whatever, but, I sit down and start playing guitar and everything, and then I want to jump right back in there.
Right, yeah.
So. Yep.
It always sucks you back in here and there. So, so the website is the Human Beinz, BEINZ.com.
That's correct.
Right, and that's the official site, and there's some cool stuff there. You've got history of the band. You've got some cool old photos and that kind of thing. So that's definitely cool. So, all right, well, Ting, it's been great talking to you, and good luck on everything. We'd love to hear if you ever come up with any new tunes, we'd love to hear it too. Then.
Okay, well, it's been my pleasure, and please keep in touch with me. I may have some stuff to show you or have you listen to down the road.
All right, it's Ting Markulin there of the Human Beinz, and I tell you what, sometimes it's the guys that achieve that little bit of success and then kind of disappeared. I find that to be really interesting because these are the stories we've never heard before. I mean, just that story about Charles Manson was worth it. Wow, great stuff there. Well, coming up on future editions of the show, we'll be talking with Bruce Chanel. He had a big, big hit in 1962 with Hey Baby. The Beatles actually opened up for Bruce, if you can imagine that. That's the early days there. Now, we'll be talking to Bruce Chanel on a future edition of the show, and Vicki Peterson, the longtime lead guitarist for the Bangles. They have a rarities collection that's just been released that collects a lot of their early recordings, a lot of these making their debut on CD. Vicki Peterson on a future edition of the show. Until next time, I'm Tony Peters. Thanks for listening.
You've been listening to Icon Fetch with Tony Peters. Want more great interviews? Head over to iconfetch.com. There, you'll find every interview we've ever done, plus CD reviews, This Day in Music, and a random album of the day. You can also find us on Facebook and Twitter. Who is Tony going to interview next? It could be you. Send what you've got to Tony Peters. Icon Fetch, P.O. Box 292134, Dayton, Ohio 45429. Or email Tony at host@iconfetch.com. Until next time, this is Joe Kelly. Have a great day.